If you've ever been a landlord, you know that many problems arise, and one of those problems is finding a reliable tenant. Tracking down late payments every month and other tenant issues makes your income stream a lot less passive. That's why so many investors like real estate investment trusts, or REITs. With a REIT, investors don't have to worry about toilets, termites, or tenants. Instead, an investor can simply sit back and enjoy the dividend checks. And one of the best tenants to have is the U.S. government. The U.S. government is about as blue chip as one can get. So let's take a look at Uncle Sam as a tenant. Easterly Government Properties, with the stock symbol of DEA, is not the largest REIT on the market, but it stands out because its mission is to acquire, develop, and manage commercial properties leased to the U.S. government. In its latest investor presentation, the REIT said 98% of its lease income is backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. Few tenants are more reliable. As of September 30th, Easterly's portfolio consisted of 86 properties totaling 8.7 million square feet. They were 99.3% leased, with a weighted average remaining term of 10.5 years on their leases. In July of 2021, the company raised its quarterly dividend payout to 26.5 cents per share. At the current share price, that translates to an annual yield of about 7.33%. While Easterly might seem like an obvious choice, given the caliber of its tenants, the stock is actually down nearly 40% over the past 12 months. While Easterly has an average rating of hold from Wall Street, the average price target is $17.25 per share, which is nearly 25% higher than where the stock sits today. So, let's take a look. And now we're taking a look at the monthly chart on Easterly Government Properties, and as I said, the symbol is DEA. Well, pretty interesting symbol. Now, as you can see, we topped out early 2020 at that level there, just under $30 a share, and then we kind of trundled for a while and then hit the waterfall down to the current price of $14.46 per share. Moving on down here, you can see that volume is continuing to climb all the way up through here, and I see that as a relatively good sign, into the MAC, which I see as a better sign. Now, again, early 2020, we had the rollover of the fast line in black, came through the slow line in red, and continued on down for the last, say, couple of years. Now, it's still at a negative, say, 1.595 on the fast line, which is relatively negative given the chart going back to 2015, but it's not really all that bad. There's still a bit of a separation between the fast line there and the slow line here, which means it still may have some time needed to bottom and base, but I don't think it's going to be too long. Back here, it took about half a year. I think we have less time than that. But moving on down here into the histogram, you can see that in the last 2 months, we finally have maybe something level on the histogram, indicating perhaps the initial stage of a bottoming and basing. But it has been negative here since mid-2020. But I think that's coming to an end relatively soon. But you have to study the fundamentals as well. Here in the price rate of change, we're still below that zero or midline down here, and it looks like we've got some sawtoothing going on, maybe the initial steps and stages of a bottoming and basing. Keep watching that. You have to take a look at perhaps the weekly chart as well, but the monthly chart is starting to shape up. This chart here, it looks like overall has had a pretty good downward trend line for several years, but I do think that some bottoming and basing is going to start here, perhaps into 2023, maybe by the first half, I would imagine. That's just a guesstimate. Keep watching the chart. Here into stochastics, pretty much the same thing as we've seen, and then of course into the Williams, again a longer term bottoming and basing, just barely trying to move on up. Hopefully it can move out of that -80 level and continue on up. I would say look for it to move the Williams up to that -50 or midline before you put any money to work. But again, study those fundamentals. Back on up here, in my humble opinion, this is a decent REIT given that the U.S. government is a tenant in most or majority of the space owned by Easterly. That's going to be a huge safety net for you. If the tenants are the U.S. government, you can't get much better. So take a serious look at DEA. And again, study the fundamentals. And for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.